You are listening to the Disney Dream Girls, an unofficial Disney Theme Parks podcast, and this is show number 478 for Sunday the 5th of November 2023.
Where dreams begin.
Hello and welcome to this week's Disney Dream Girls. My name is Michelle Young, and together with my jolly good chum Jayne Phipps, we are your guides to the place where dreams begin. Hello there, Jayne.
Hello there, Michelle. We're in November. Where's the year gone?
I know. It's brilliant, isn't it? I just want it to slow down on the 16th of December and time to go really, really slowly then for a week.
Yes. We are kind of particular about how we like our time to go, aren't we? Disney time has to go uber slow. The rest of it can do what it likes.
Yeah, because the way things are going, this is going to be my last touch of Disney for quite a while, so I want to be able to sort of savour every moment and sort of luxuriate in the wonders of Christmas, really.
Well, yeah, because you get like double bang for your buck, don't you? You're getting Disney and you're getting Christmas as well.
I know, gingerbread galore.
Exciting.
And the good news is, after I got a little bit upset that the UK were not going to be doing gingerbread lattes at Starbucks, which hurt me deep, they're doing them in the US. So when I go to the Magic Kingdom, I'll be able to have my favourite beverage in my absolute favourite location with gingerbread scented snow and Christmas. And yes, can anything get any better to help me get over this last few months of being poorly, what it seems like every day?
Well, yeah. Something to look forward to, as we like to.
Whoop, whoop. Very excited though, Jayne. Very excited.
Very.
I don't know, did I ask you, have we got any history?
I haven't got anything this week. No, you know what? I had a good look. I must admit, I did have a good look. And there was nothing that actually kind of either, I didn't feel like we'd already covered once before or kind of grabbed me. So unfortunately, no. But coming up, I might have a little bit more tied into something else we're going to talk about.
Okay, well that's good because we've got quite a lot on the topic from this week anyway. And last week's show we talked a little bit about the very exciting news that there's going to be a Haunted Mansion themed bar on the Disney Treasure.
Another reason to get us to go on a different cruise ship, yeah?
Completely. And there was a ghoulish portrait of the captain, who's going to be one of the many happy haunts sailing on the said ship in the bar.
I didn't know we were going to actually have ghosts with us as well.
Well, it's an animated portrait. Now, from what I have seen on this, you know, as you're going into the Haunted Mansion, and whether you're at Disneyland or Walt Disney World, there's those portraits that when they get hit by lightning, you see a completely different image.
Yes, quite,
It's got that effect.
Okay.
And the post from Disney Parks has said the following. In the spirit of Halloween, enjoy this portrait of the captain, one of our newly discovered apparitions found in the recently announced Haunted Mansion parlour on board the Disney Treasure. Disney Imagineers are hard at work on the world's first Haunted Mansion-inspired bar, where you will encounter nostalgic tributes to Haunted Mansion attractions around the world and a portrait gallery depicting the ship's own ghostly residents.
Ooh. As long as we can still get a good night's sleep. I don't want to be like woken up by the jangling of chains or something in the middle of the night.
Well, that'd be fun. But it just sounds like it's going to be a really fun space.
It does, yeah.
And as we voiced last week, just don't make it too small, Disney. Make it a reasonable size and make it some sort of experience that everybody who wants to go in is able to go in at some point during their vacation.
Yeah, absolutely. It needs to be open for all, doesn't it? And not hogged by a few.
Completely agree with you 100% on that one, Jayne. So I have some other Disney news.
Okay, go on.
And this is tied into our much, much loved treat that many Disney fans across the world love to have, and it is the Mickey Premium Bar.
Okay, what's happening to the Mickey Premium Bar?
In the USA, the Mickey Premium bars do not contain nuts. However, they are processed in a facility that also processes foods containing nuts and tree nuts.
Okay.
So I suppose if you have a severe nut allergy, you're already on board with this and sort of staying away from a Mickey bar, because if your allergy is that severe, you don't want to risk it.
No, absolutely, yeah.
However, Disneyland Paris have just changed their wrappings on the Mickey bar that they sell in the parks in Paris, and it's now got listed as hazelnuts as being an ingredient rather than may contain.
Oh, they changed the chocolate recipe then?
Well, let's just think. What do the French love more than anything other than snails, a good red wine, champagne, and smoking a cigarette with a strong coffee on a Sunday morning?
Are you referring to Nutella?
I'm absolutely referring to Nutella, Jayne, because what is the main ingredient? Hazelnuts. Absolutely. So now is this classic Mickey bar going to be infiltrated with the hazelnut? I don't know. I've not been in the park to actually try one. But it is there as an actual ingredient now. So again, if you are a person with a nut allergy, I would say well clear of any incarnation now of a Mickey bar. Now, in particular, if you want to know which ones that these impact on in Paris, if you get a wrapper that has the Disneyland Paris 30 on, it's only may contain traces of nuts, whereas if you get the one with snowflakes on, it now says contains hazelnuts. And I'd like to say a big thank you to the lovely Caroline Gray for bringing that to my attention.
That's an interesting one then, isn't it? Because that would imply that a recipe has been changed of some description. So, interesting.
Yeah, that was another piece of news that caught my eye this week. And before we go on to our big feature, Jayne talking about her fantastic time on her cruise with a little bit more information on one of the places very close to Walt's heart, Tivoli Gardens, I thought I would talk about the newly released Disney Eats Foodie Guide to Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party 2023.
Wow, so there's going to be a bit of a spreadsheet, I feel, going on here, Michelle, because you're going to want to know exactly which ones you're going to try, aren't you?
Yes and no.
Oh, okay.
The budget for this holiday is virtually $30 a day. That's it.
Okay.
It is as tight as I can possibly get it. So if I'm going to invest my cash on something in the theme parks, it better darn well be delicious.
I can see you watching a lot of reviews coming up in the next few weeks.
Absolutely. Now, the party begins on the 9th of November and runs through to the 22nd of December. And there will be some exclusive foods that you can only purchase at the party. Some of the things form part of the typical Magic Kingdom Christmas offerings. So there's a bit of a mix of both, but there are some exclusive ones. And I've tended to have a little look through and think, what am I going to be looking out for, and what might possibly tempt me into giving this a go?
Okay.
So for me, when I was at the Halloween party last year, I went to Anti-Gravity's because they had that corn-flavoured shake.
Right, yes.
It was disgusting.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm very wary about this. So if my plan is to go to Anti-Gravity's and find someone ahead of me in the queue who's actually bought it and ask them if it tastes good. And if it does, then I will then invest my cash.
Right, so what are they offering?
It's a reindeer chow sundae, which is a chocolate soft serve, pretzels, cereal, M&Ms, chocolate candies, and hot fudge.
Okay.
Now, this one is available in regular park hours as well. Now, from looking at the picture, I am not a big fan, I must admit, of chocolate ice cream. The ice cream, it says itself, does look very sort of caramelly more than chocolatey. I'd even guess at peanut butter ice cream, to be honest.
Yes.
There's a lot of M&Ms in it, some chocolate sauce, We shall see. There's no prices, quelle surprise, but that is one I'm going to be keeping my eye open for.
Okay.
Then there's 2 items that I would be very interested about at the Friar's Nook, and both of these are party exclusives.
Right, okay.
I've gone savoury, Jane.
Are you feeling all right, Michelle?
Well, do you know what? Those of us who are in the UK will know a particular bakery that is available on all high streets, and in some areas they have a drive-in now, and they do a very delicious Christmas chicken pie.
Yes.
Oh, and it's Christmas dinner in a plate and a little pasty, because it's got chicken, it's got gravy, it's got stuffing, it's got cranberry, it's got all the good stuff in.
Yeah.
Well, at the Friar's Nook, they have a holiday ham fried pie.
Oh, okay.
Flaky pastry filled with baked ham, candied sweet potatoes and spiced pecans served with a pineapple glaze.
Oh, that does sound quite yummy, actually.
It does. Ham and pineapple, classic combination. The fact that it's got the candied sweet potatoes and the pecans for a bit of crunch really does get me feeling very excited. That one might be one going in my tum-tum for me.
Yeah, nice combination, actually, that. It does sound good.
You see, I can find out some good things. There's also another one there, Jayne, which I think might even get your ears listening.
Oh, okay.
They have an Italian beef tots, which are your little potato barrels or your tater tots covered in slow-cooked beef, cheese curds. Then there's a zesty giardiniera sauce and pot roast gravy, and that is an exclusive as well.
Oh.
I forgot you on that one.
Well, yeah, and it's quite nice to see because, you do tend to get like a deluge of these treats that are available for parties, and they do tend to all be, or it feels like that they all are more of the sweet variety. So it's quite nice to get some savoury ones in there.
Yeah. I did have a look at the waffle sundae, because they do a holiday waffle sundae every sort of Christmas, where it is a wonderful red velvet waffle with M&Ms and peppermint ice cream. But to be honest, I think the price point in this is pushing nearly £10 if I remember from last year, and it just does not scream to me good value.
Yeah, well, I suppose this is the other thing as well. We're not having the prices to hand. It's it makes even making those choices that little bit more difficult, doesn't it? Because you want to make sure that what you're paying out is actually worth what you're paying out.
Yeah, but I have found something that might entice me on the ice cream front. They have a sugar plum sundae, which is sugar plum soft serve on top of a sugar cookie crumb, topped with whipped cream, crisp pearls and cotton candy.
Ooh.
Does that sound good or what?
It does sound very sweet.
And then the last one as a homage to you, my love.
Oh, okay.
This is over at Sunshine Tree Terrace, and it's a cranberry citrus float with orange vanilla soft serve twist.
Ooh.
And this is your orange vanilla soft serve twisted with Sprite winter spiced cranberry and fruity bobber pearls.
Oh, I know it's not alcoholic, but that sounds like one that could have a bit of like a Cosmo vibe going on. Put a bit of vodka and a bit of tequila in it. That might work out quite nice.
And that's not an exclusive either. So,
Oh.
daytime guests, you could try that one out. And it's nice that they do these ice cream floats. I'm sort of thinking possibly not on an evening, because I do hear that in Florida it does get a little bit cooler on a night during this time of year.
Yeah, it does a little bit. Yeah,
but maybe a daytime treat for me.
Oh, absolutely. And like you say, Charlotte, it's quite good that they've got that list of seasonal offerings, some of which are exclusive, but then you've also got those that if you're not able to pay out, the extra dollar that you're going to need to go to the party, that at least you've got a smattering of offerings as well that a regular day guest can partake of.
Absolutely. And I have got my Mickey Santa hat, my Mickey jerseys, and all of my wonderful Christmas clothes all ready to pack. Very excited for this, Jayne.
Oh, I'm excited for it because it's a long time since we did Disney at Christmas. It was way back in 2004, and we were round about the early part of December, and we just absolutely loved it. It was a little bit bizarre hearing carols being sung, and Christmas music being played while it's bright blue sunshine and very warm outside, because that's really not what us British are used to. But yeah, it was a fabulous time of the year, and it was, yeah. And as I've said numerous times before, if you combine Disney with Christmas, then it's got to be a big thumbs up in Jayne's book.
Absolutely. 100% agreed with you, my little love. Mm-hmm. Right, let's turn back time, because as of this very recording, our lovely friends from Dis Down Under are on the Disney Wonder. They set sail from Sydney. Oh my word. They shared a live of them going on board the ship, and the emotions was just palpable of how it feels like to go onto a Disney ship. It's like no other feeling. So for you, going back in time to relive a little bit of your Disney magic on the Disney Dream. So we're going to look at when you went on your excursion day to Tivoli Gardens, and correct me if I'm right here, you didn't decide to give Disney $354 to pay for their tour.
No, we didn't. It was one of those things, originally I thought, oh yeah, because we weren't used to going on a cruise ship, and we didn't know what port excursions were and where we were going, one thing or another. So I was quite keen originally to book some things in so that I knew that we were taken care of, and that there was no worry about getting back to the boat on time and all that sort of thing. However, when it came to looking at the excursions, it was two things were very apparent. One, they were very specific, and two, the cheaper ones went uber quick. But there was one that had kind of caught my eye, which I think was called something like Walking Walt's Footsteps. And it was like, if I'm going to do one, this kind of was catching my attention, shall we say. And I thought this would be interesting to do. However, when I looked into it a bit further and looked at the price tag, which was an immediate, like, sharp intake of breath moment, but I actually then looked at what they were giving you for that price point. And to be honest, you weren't getting what I would have expected. I was thinking that this would be a guided tour highlighting all the parts within this amazing park that Walt loved and took home with him and used as reference, and talking about his visit and what that entailed. But it didn't do that. It was basically a means of getting you to Tivoli. You got lunch, and then basically you were left to explore on your own. So that price point of however many $100 just really wasn't worth it for us at all. Just didn't seem to be getting anything that would justify paying out that sort of money. So we decided that we would just do it under our own steam. One thing that became very apparent from, on different Facebook groups and one thing and another, is that Disney don't like to let you know whether they're going to put on any free transportation at these ports of call that you go into. What we did find was that they did end up putting on these free transportations. So for us, because where we docked at Copenhagen, it was more of an industrial port side of things. There was a transfer that was put on for us that took us to the Little Mermaid statue, and we then opted to walk from the Little Mermaid statue to Tivoli Gardens, which took us, we walk at a steady pace, admittedly, but we did stop and look at a few bits and pieces. But it took us about 45 minutes to work our way across Copenhagen to Tivoli, and I would heartily recommend it, just because you're seeing another city and the architecture and the layout and the history that's there. So from that point of view, it's worth your while taking that walk. It does mean a little bit, if you're watching the clock, that the amount of time that you get to spend in Tivoli was not vast. So that's something else to be taken into consideration. But we were very much going in with I wasn't worried about doing attractions at Tivoli. I just wanted to be able to go to Tivoli and say that I'd been to the same place that Walt had been to, and that was our prime reason for wanting to spend a few hours there.
Jayne, is it an expensive place to get into?
No.
What sort of price point are we looking at?
Well, if my memory serves me right, and in fact, I shall see if I can get you some up-to-date prices as well. We've actually bought our tickets online before we went to Tivoli. So we did it all online. We got everything sent to the phone, so there was no worry about buying tickets on the day or anything like that. But they do various different packages. So you can just have a straightforward entrance ticket, and then on top of that, you can buy passes to go on the rides. And then they also do different packages so that if you're a local, a bit like, I would suppose, a bit like the annual pass that we know so well at Disney. But we opted just to do the entrance, just to get into the park and experience it all. That was 155 Danish kroner, which I think worked out in UK money around about £17. It wasn't bad at all.
£17?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
nothing.
It's nothing, is it? And just looking at the moment on their website, their ride passes is 169 Danish kroner, so that's probably going to be around about the £20 mark, which will let you go on all the rides that are there.
So for that amount of
Mhm.
what, about £40,
Mhm.
you can go on all the attractions and get into the park for 40 quid.
Well, that will be on top of the entrance. So you pay your entrance and then you
All
pay
right.
for the rides on top. But
Okay.
even so, yeah, it's nominal compared to what you would be paying in most standard theme parks around the world nowadays.
Okay, so can you tell me a little bit more about what the vibe of this theme park is like?
The word I used was eclectic. It is beautiful, and you have to remember, she says, coming out with some history facts. See, I said I was going to get some history in here, didn't I? It opened in 1843, so it's been around for a long time. A long time. In fact, it's the third oldest operating amusement park in the world. The other two being one also in Denmark and one in Vienna as well. So it has quite an oldie worldy vibe to it, and it kind of gave off, for the British listeners out there, you'll probably understand, if I was to say like a spa town, like a Brighton or somewhere where you have a pavilion, it's that sort of vibe. It's a bit like a World's Fair, it's a bit like an expo. So you've got lots of different areas around the park, and you've got lots of different architectures, and you can see kind of how it's maybe expanded over the years, but it really has that sort of World's Fair sort of vibe about it. When we were there, there was some sort of plant festival going on. They have lots of music festivals and arts, and there's a theatre in there. So it's very much that element of going somewhere and having lots of different things under one roof. And although there is no roof because obviously it's open air, but it has that oldie worldy feeling that well, for me anyway, of going into an old fashioned spa town and it being this beautiful horticultural experience in the middle of a very busy city centre. So, we'd walked through Copenhagen to get there, through some very nice streets, lots of very expensive designer shops, walked into an amazing square with all this really old architecture, but it was bustling. It was very, with trams everywhere, bikes everywhere. And then you walk into Tivoli Gardens, and it's like you would expect with any theme park, and probably what kind of appealed to Walt as well, where you go through those gates, and you forget about what you've just walked through because it's lush, it's planting, there is open grass areas to sit on, seats laid out, stages in different parts laid out. And then in amongst all of that, you have these little areas for different parts of the amusement park aspect. So it's kind of, I think Simon used the phrase, it's like somebody painted with all the different coloured crayons in the box because there was that much going on. There was lots of different styles, lots of different colours, lots of different ways you could experience the park. There was one area that was quite oldie worldy fashioned kind of rides, but then there was another area that seemed to have a bit of a horror type of theme going on. And we were walking down these streets going, what on earth have we just walked into? It was very bizarre in that respect. So, yeah, very full on in some areas, very quiet and refrained in other areas, very eclectic and very beautiful as well.
So while you were there, you've had
Mm.
a good look round and everything. How long did you spend in the park?
Well, we were there, I think we had about 3 hours that we were actually in the park. We literally just went round and explored and walked around the park. We did stop for a very nice coffee with a little chocolate, which was very, very yummy. We discovered our new favourite treat, which is the licorice shop. This Danish chocolate covered licorice, which is absolutely to die for. And I've now found a shop near me in Nottingham does it as well, which
Can
is
I ask as well, Jane, what were the prices like? Because obviously we know as Disney theme park guests that the prices in the park are quite high. What was the food and beverage price like?
I would say you're talking the same sort of vibe, because at the end of the day, like with any theme park, whether you're going to Disney World or whether you're going to, Alton Towers for us Brits, you know, you are walking into a captive place, aren't you? So it's going to be on the higher end of things. There is a massive food hall there, which I have to say we didn't go into because we weren't in need of anything major to be eating. And I think you may have alluded to this on previous conversations about cruising. The element of we'd had a mega breakfast. We were full to the brim with our breakfast. We made sure we went back twice, if not three times, for our breakfast. We've got free food on the ship. We weren't going to be partaking of overtly too much whilst we were visiting all the different ports of call. And we kind of said we would suffice on a coffee, which we did, and a treat, which we did. As far as I understand, though, within Tivoli itself, you have this massive food hall. We had some of our fellow diners who did actually go into the food hall and experienced, I think, what we would call like a traditional Danish open sandwich, and they said it was some of the best food that they'd had. It was absolutely beautiful. So recommended, but it's not going to be cheap. Cheap food. It's going to be your typical theme park priced food.
Okay, that's quite interesting. I know it's one of the places the cruise I'm going on next year is going to stop at, and I'm very excited about going. I've had a look at some of the attractions, Jane, and looking at them, there are elements to me that seem very that Disneyland Paris was influenced around, because there's the astronomer where you can travel into space, and it's this very much Jules Verne steampunk-esque vibe to it. Did you get that as you was wandering around that part of the park?
It was, and that part of the park kind of had this. It was kind of at the back of, or to one side of where the horror type part was, and I did take loads of different photos because some of the artwork and the structures that were there, the facades that they'd built, were phenomenal. And you could definitely see call outs that Disney have picked up on. And yes, there was the whole Jules Verne-esque area that you could definitely see some of the influence had been taken for, particularly that Tomorrowland or Discoveryland area over at Disneyland Paris. There was actually a ride, and I will not try and say the name, but it was like a fairy tale ride, and you could see how it was being presented. It was kind of feeding into the It's a Small World and the storybook canal boats, that sort of vibe as well. So you have got a plethora of rides that are there. You have got, your traditional thrill rides and your swirly round ones and your more gentle ones as well. I think for us, it wasn't so much about going on the rides. It was more about experiencing the place itself. So we didn't go down that route because with only having a few hours there, we definitely wanted to soak up all of the atmosphere rather than be stood in queues waiting to go on things. I think one vibe that I did get, there was quite a lot of, bear in mind we were there at very early part of September, and it was a weekday, but there were quite a lot of groups of teenagers. So I think if you're there during when schools are out, it works a little bit like, which I think I always got from Disneyland Paris. If you were at Disneyland Paris on a weekend, you were getting a lot of the locals coming into the park. And obviously with this being in the centre of a major city, you're getting that vibe as well. So there was lots of youngsters, shall we say, who were there to hang out because it was their park. That's where they obviously go to chill out and relax and hook up with all their friends. So consequently, rides like anywhere had got those waits. So not that there was anything that was majorly mega big waits like you'd expect to see in a Disney theme park, but it was that element for us. We were more keen in walking around the park, and it did take us a good chunk of the time that we were there just to walk around and see all of the things that were on offer and the lovely landscaping, which again, it is a beautifully laid out park. And when we've often talked about Disneyland Paris and how beautiful the landscaping is within Disneyland Paris, and this has got that aesthetic. And like I said earlier, there was that element of you've got all this greenery and little places to like stop and watch the world go by, when just beyond the wall there was a very big bustling city happening, but you go through those gates and all of a sudden that's not important, that's not going on. You're in this little environment where you're cocooned and you're just there to relax and chill out and experience all that's on offer.
Okay. I'm very excited about going there. It looks amazing. Could I ask you to pop some pictures on our Instagram and over on our website, DisneyDreamGirls.com, Jayne?
Absolutely. And I will just say one little thing, Michelle. There was a little quote I came across. So we all know Walt Disney had a visit to Tivoli and took a lot of his inspiration for Disneyland going back to the States with him. And he always said Disneyland will never be completed. It will continue to grow as long as there's imagination left in the world. Interestingly, one of the creators behind Tivoli Gardens, George Carstensen, said in 1844, Tivoli will never, so to speak, be finished. And it's obviously something that Walt could see in it and had taken that vibe to say, yeah, we're going to be forever expanding. And I think that's the thing. If you look at Tivoli nowadays, you can see some of the original architecture and where it's developed from, but they've embraced the future, and by putting in a theatre and a concert hall and a food hall and moving with the times. Although it did feel a little bit incongruous to walk around a corner see a Ben and Jerry's ice cream stand. That did feel a little bit out of place, but in the main you got all these beautiful surroundings that had obviously evolved with time and grown with the city and with the people that are going there to visit. So I think it was very interesting that Walt had picked up on that and taken that forward with him as he developed his parks.
Awesome stuff there, Jayne. Thank you very much indeed, my lovely.
My pleasure.
If you've been over to Tivoli Gardens and want to share some top tips, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you. And just like anything to do with the show, if you want to get in touch with us, our email is info@disneydreamgirls.com. You can find us on Instagram @DisDreamGirls, and you can also get in touch with us via our Patreon page, patreon.com/DisneyDreamGirls, where our financial supporters are able to get access to exclusive in the hall content, as well as a few other little bits and pieces. So thank you very much. I mentioned a competition, Jayne.
Oh, yes, competition time.
And you very kindly brought back from your travels a Minnie and Mickey Captain magnet from the Disney Cruise Line.
Yeah, they're very cute.
So we are going to give these away in conjunction with a competition that I am going to post on our Instagram page. So take a look at that. Go over @DisDreamGirls and enter via our Instagram page. See if you can win it. You can't win unless you go and have a look.
Yeah.
Right, let's tie up this week's show, Jayne, and thank everybody for your listening. We really do appreciate your time devoted to listening to us as we prattle on about our love of Disney. But until next time, it's a goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.